Hi there. This is the first of a series of recordings which I'd like to share with you, and this is particularly about suffering, which is something that's possibly the greatest mystery, one of the greatest mysteries of this experience of life, is why there is suffering. And many of us believe that there is a creator, and in fact that creator is very loving and intelligent, and yet we all suffer, and it's a great mystery. So I've been fortunate in my life to have a number of experiences, and I hope I can share these with you now. If you think even for a moment about this experience, you'll see it's made of two states, which generally called duality. So everything is in twos, and this is, in fact, it's an illusion, and I'll talk about that later in the series. But everything seems to come in twos: happiness, sadness, love, hate, light, darkness, heat, cold, and so on. And you'll also notice that in this experience that everything is dynamic, everything is changing. There's not a moment when things stay the same. And it's the realization of change that is very, very important in us understanding suffering. It was a great question that Buddha had all those years ago when he surveyed the world and thought about things and experienced things, and then saw suffering as this terrible, terrible condition, particularly in the human state. And it was his great question to God. Now, another very great philosophical area of thought comes from India, comes from the Vedas, the ancient writings of India, and in particular summarized in a marvelous, wonderful book called the Bhagavad Gita, which I'd very much encourage you to read. Now, one of the great messages from the Bhagavad Gita is that the action of the human being should be based on unconditional love. Unconditional love. So that all that we do should be in reverence towards life and in reverence towards this creation. Now, the other great statement is what happens after we act is not within our control, completely outside our control, because it's controlled by the universe and it's controlled by the creator of the universe. And this is one particular area of suffering that we all suffer from, is when we do something and things don't work out the way we want them to, we suffer. So it's a very important point to understand that we can act, and hopefully we act from unconditional love, but as to what happens from our actions is completely outside of our control. And if one understands this, then you can relieve a lot of suffering within yourself. Now, this unconditional love is a very interesting thing, because it doesn't need anything in return. It's just a beautiful experience of giving. And strangely enough, in our Western society, we have the complete opposite. And in fact, in yoga, there are 3 no-nos, things that we should not do. Okay? And they are, we should not be attached. Now think how attached we are to so many things, to so many outcomes, to so many people, and to so many things. It's unbelievable how attached we are. The other no-no is we shouldn't think that we own anything. And again, how often do we make the mistake of saying that we own something, and in particular other people, or the reactions of other people? So, big mistake. And the third one is selfish desire. This is when we want an outcome, we want things to change the way we want it to happen, and if it doesn't happen, then we suffer. Now, when we have these three illnesses of attachment, ownership, and selfish desire, we suffer. And if we get rid of them, we don't suffer. And you think most of our relationships in the Western world are based on these very three illnesses. Let's just take an example of if we have a relationship with another person. We get attached, we believe that we own them, and we want them to do things that we want them to do. And so we cause our own suffering. Now, how do we not suffer? And it's extremely simple. We flow, we flow, we flow. So if you think of a river, and this is a great Buddhist simile, if we're a leaf flowing down a river, think of the quality of the leaf, how it travels through all the currents, it gets stuck in whirlpools, it goes down waterfalls, it gets maybe behind rocks, but it always flows with whatever the situation. And it's a very, very wonderful concept of flow. You'll find that you suffer when you oppose the universe, when you oppose what is happening, and you don't suffer when you allow things to happen. Now, there's a subtle point here, because the subtle point is that we can act, and if we act through unconditional love, we can, I believe, we can change outcomes, but we're not in control of outcomes. So there's this beautiful balance of acting through unconditional love and allowing the universe to flow. So I hope this little talk has helped you, and I love sharing it, and I'd love to hear your comments. Thank you.